Last week, Josh Allen and the Bills thought they were about to march into the Bengals' home field and handle business. Well, Joe Burrow said not so fast when he threw for 348 yards and 2 touchdowns. It is safe to say that Joe Burrow is back, and those fantasy managers who traded for him in week 3 and week 4 are probably ecstatic right now. What are you guys' biggest takeaways from the previous matchup between these two star quarterbacks? Do y'all think that one separated himself from the other? How do you view these guys in real life and in fantasy football going forward? I want to hear what you guys have to say.
So, real life, Joe Burrow pretty much has ownership in the Bills organization.
Equity.
He has equity, whatever you
Yeah.
want to call it. Josh Allen pretty much went up to him after the game and pretty much said, "Thank you, Father, for teaching me a lesson." Some shit like that. I don't
Oh
know.
no, yeah, I heard that he was actually banging McDermott's wife. I don't know if that's true, but that's just what they're saying. So I'm just the
He
messenger.
might be, bro. Joe
Yeah,
Shiesty, he's a cool dude.
he's
I don't
shy.
know, but real life, Joe Burrow is, I think, a pretty decent bit ahead of Josh Allen in terms of quarterbacking. Fantasy wise, though, Josh Allen is top 2, and he's probably not 2.
Probably
So,
not.
two different tales right there. But I mean, if we're talking real football, Joe Burrow is him.
Couldn't have said
Yeah,
it better, brother. And I agree with that completely. Sap, what
yeah.
do
I
you
mean,
think?
I'm not going to say anything different. I think that the top two quarterbacks in the league in real life are Mahomes, Burrow, and then I have Allen. Um, so it's the same as Brennan in regards to I don't think he's top two. In fantasy, though, like Brennan said, it's a different story. I think Josh Allen's clearly um, QB1. I don't know what like the points separation between him and QB2 is, but he always just manages to figure it out. I mean, he could have below 10 points going into the fourth quarter and somehow he finishes with 20 plus or 30 points. Like he just
Yeah,
always figures it
crazy
out.
shit.
So, I mean, there's no question in my mind he's QB1. He scores a rushing touchdown almost every game, it feels like, and I don't really think he's going to stop. So, and he's tough as nails. I mean, he's been playing with the shoulder injury this year and last year, and I mean, I don't know if he's even missed a single game.
Yeah, I want to spotlight a guy in each offense who I'm kind of concerned about going forward, or somebody who I might be happy about. I want to start with the Bills. I want to talk about James Cook. I know we talked about him a couple weeks, and a couple weeks ago we said the running back landscape was so bad that James Cook was just about as good of an RB2 as you could get. Do you guys still feel like y'all have this opinion? Last week, just to give y'all some context, he went 6 carries for 20 yards. Josh Allen was the leading rusher in that game, 8 rushes for 44 yards. Do y'all think that James Cook still has upside going forward? Do y'all think that he's somebody who you still no doubt are going to put in your starting lineup just because of how bad the running back space is, or are you looking to bench James Cook going forward?
Go ahead, Sapper. You go first. Go first.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not excited about starting him. That's for sure. I mean, he kind of sucks. Like he catches no passes. He's not even scoring rushing touchdowns. He just doesn't have that much upside. And Josh Allen doesn't look to check down to him. So I'm not pumped about starting him. Not to mention they just signed Leonard Fournette, who's probably off his couch the best one in the backfield. So I mean, no, I'm not excited about having James Cook. I'd probably be trading him. I mean, I thought he
What do
was.
you think? What do you think you could get for James Cook though at this point? Like,
I mean, probably not much. I don't know.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Maybe
Like, do you think
buy
you could get another running back in that
maybe
tier? Like,
buy
probably
Zay
not.
Flowers while he has had 2 bad weeks. I mean, I don't know.
I have a little bit different take on him, just because I think if it's a close game, I think Josh Allen is just gonna play his game and take over. And kind of play superhero ball, which is he's good at, and I feel like their team is probably best at whenever he just takes over and does it all himself. Um, but I feel like Cook does have some upside if they're going to be in games where they have a lead or they have a pretty big lead. I feel like they're going to want to slow the game down, run the ball with Cook, run the ball with Latavius Murray, maybe even Fournette if he gets some snaps. I think Cook's a good player. Josh Allen just doesn't really look for him in the passing game. He's more of a downfield guy. And if it's not there downfield, he normally likes to take off. So I think while he's not going to be somebody that has RB1 upside like we may have thought earlier in the season, I think he's a solid RB2, just the way the running back landscape is this year. I mean, there's very few guys who's going to be a week in, week out RB2 that's producing at a high level, 15, 12, 15 points, something around there. So I feel like in games that they're going to have leads in, I feel like Cook can have some upside and can have some big games to score and get a lot of yards. And in other games where they're losing or it's a close game, I feel like Josh Allen's going to be playing Superman ball and doing it all himself. So I mean, I wouldn't, I can't understand the trade talk. Seeing if you could, the way it just depends on your team build though. If you have other running backs that you could probably sub in there that are producing similarly to Cook,
Yeah.
and try and trade for a receiver, another tight end, maybe upgrade a quarterback. Do that.
Chances are, though, if you have James Cook,
Yeah, you're
you
playing.
probably can't
Yeah.
trade him away for a receiver because then you're like, who am I going to start at running back, right? It's like,
Yeah. So I mean, that's why I'm saying like if you have him while he's been underperforming this past game, and I think the game before as well. I mean, he's a decent RB2. Not many people can say they have that. This year's been rough for running backs. So
yeah. And I do want to mention too, before we move on to our next topic, James Cook this year he hasn't been that big of a factor in the passing game, but this past weekend he actually had 4 receptions on the night, which it's not crazy, but that's pretty good. It's a reasonable floor to have as a running back. He was the 4th guy fourth leading pass catcher on that team behind Diggs, Kincaid, and Shakir. I don't know if this is going to continue, but I'll take 4 receptions.
I think that was due to the Bills being down for the whole game, and Cook is obviously the passing down back. So I feel like that was just him running routes, and Allen just looking to dump it off to him if he was about to get sacked or something. But like in rushing situations, if it's close or if they're losing, Allen's gonna be playing Superman ball.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, you can see that in the box
Yeah.
score, right? The Bills only had 16 total rushes on the night. Josh Allen had 8 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I mean, this O-line isn't good either. Like, just to point that out, like the Bills O-line isn't great. So, I mean, running between the tackles is going to be hard to begin with. I don't know. And then, like you said, by them not having a great offense, scramble plays are already a huge part of Allen's game. He's just going to scramble even more, pick up yards with his feet or big chunk plays. So,
yeah. So often, we always talk about guys that we want to buy low or sell high, right? Well, right now I want to talk about a guy who I'd be wanting to buy high on, and that is T. Higgins. I'd be wanting to buy him off of this previous week that we saw. I think Joe Burrow is just back. I think that he can definitely support 2 top 15 fantasy options, and I think T. Higgins with the start that he had, I think that his market value right now is still cheaper than what it was at the beginning of the season. I like T. Higgins as a buy high or buy as he is right now. What do you guys think about the long term outlook of T. Higgins? Is he somebody who you think you can confidently plug into your wide receiver 2 slot week in and week out? Forget about it, or are y'all still kind of worried about him?
I'm plugging him in
No
every
doubt.
week, no question,
doubt.
bro. Like T. Higgins is a dog. I don't like anyone that didn't think he was a dog and thought he fell off. Like, you're crazy. This dude is legit. Like, he's elite. So if Burrow is back to playing like he's playing, you plug in T. Higgins in your lineup every week. And one thing people don't realize is that T. Higgins, he always deals with injuries. Like, it seems like every year. But even last year, I forget the exact number of games, but with him and Chase on the field, he was putting up more points than Chase at one point. So, like, it's not to say that on any given week he can't be the leading receiver fantasy wise on his team. Like, it can happen on any given week.
Well, it happened this week. So T.
Well,
Higgins
yeah.
went 8 receptions for 110 yards. Jamar Chase 4 receptions, 41 yards.
And it's not a knock on Chase, but it's just
Chase did get hurt. He had a crazy catch that was almost a catch where he seemed like he jumped 40 inches in the air and then landed straight on his back. So I think he's questionable this week, or he's missing some practice reps or something like that with his back injury. So T. Higgins, I mean, on most teams, he's a wide receiver 1 and a damn good one at that. I think his lack in production earlier this year was due to, I think he did miss a few games due to injury, but mostly it was due to Burrow was just obviously hurt with that calf injury. And now you can see with these last 2 weeks beating two good ass teams in the Bills and the 49ers pretty handily. Burrow's back to himself, and the fact that he is means that T. Higgins is back to being a fucking fantasy stud. Must start every week. Lock him in.
Yeah.
Yep, I agree.